After a brief delay with the ambulance crews attending to Maxime Foran-Castellan, who we've just seen walking on his own 2 feet, so that's a very good sign. We're now back to the racing action here at the second day of the first round of the BNL karting series for 2019. It's the final qualifying heats for junior and senior junior max groups C and A. On the front row, it's Mike van Vugt and Danny van Dijk from the Netherlands, ahead of Jeff Machiels, Lucas Schoenmakers. Kai Huylets starts in 5th alongside Dan Ginchard from the UK. Huylets finished 3rd in the first one and in his first qualifying heat, and Ginchard finished 14th in his last one. Lars Zanen, Tom Adams, Matthew Higgins, who celebrates his birthday today, didn't have a good one in the first one, but hopefully from 9th he can have a better situation this time around, and we'll have Zen Rudenberg from the Netherlands alongside Dirk Jansen, Rasmus Venderbol, Gianni Andrisani, Callum Voisin, Rasmus Andersen, Christian de Klein, Morris Schuring, Jaroslav Zimashka, Jano Zopfi, Sam Bergstein, Morris Bechtel, Samuel Stendis, Artem Mikhailov, Dan Zopfi, Flint Schuring and Summer Webb complete the 26-strong grid. So the timer has been reset to 7 minutes plus 1 additional lap here at Karting Genk, the home of champions, with the barriers now rearranged for the racing action to continue here under the Sunday afternoon sunshine on Sunday, March 24th, 2019. So we're getting into the last stage of the formation lap here for the the third and last qualifying heat, groups C and A. Top 10 on the grid is Van Vugt from Van Dijk on the front row, Machiels and Schoenmakers, row 4, Huylets and Ginchard, row 3, Zanen and Adams, row 4, Higgins and Rudenberg, row 5. That's your top 10. 26 drivers over 13 rows, ready to get into battle over the next 8 minutes here at the 1,360-metre circuit, simply known as the home of champions, Karting Genk, with a great amount of alumni that have been in the higher echelons of motorsport. And who knows, maybe we've got a few stars in the making here on this 26-strong grid, especially the guys on the front row and maybe a few behind. So, Van Vugt on pole alongside Danny van Dijk. Do we go green once again? No, first full start of the day. So another chance for the drivers to get back into position. Race direction, not happy with that at all. So if they're not in the tram lines, they will be called on that. And also if some people are not picking up speed when they need to, going into that formation, into the tram lines. So we've got a reset here. Red light's back on the starting gantry. 7 minutes on the clock, plus 1 lap. So quickly run through the surnames of the drivers, all 26. Van Vugt, Van Dijk, Machiels, Schoenmakers, Huylets, Ginchard, Zanen, Adams, Higgins, Rudenberg, Jansen, Vendelbo, Andrisani, Voisin, Andersen, De Klein, Schuring, Zimashka, Zopfi, or Jano Zopfi, Bergstein, Bechtel, Stendis, Mikhailov, Dan Zopfi, Flint Schuring and Summer Webb. That's your 26 strong. They go into a crawl around turn number 10. Mike van Vugt on pole position, looking to continue his good run. After this heat, we'll have decided the top 28 that will go through to the top 36 final. That's the penultimate race of the day. As some drivers just trying to do a little bit more weaving just to get a bit more heat into the Mojo tyres. As they now approach turn 12, will we get a clean start this time from all 26 competitors? They come round through the mid part of turn 12 before splitting into the tram lines. The Rotax engines roar into life on the 26 strong. Do we go green? Yes, we do. And someone's definitely not had any help at all in the form of that might be Gianni Andrisani that's been caught lagging or couldn't get up to... Oh, no, 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 not happening. 4 spinning the other way round at turn 3. One of which I think might have been... Well, I couldn't really catch who that was. I mean, there was a GKS driver there, so that could have been maybe Lars Zanen that went sideways. One is caught and beached. Oh, and is in a bit of discomfort there. And that could be Rasmus Vendelbo, I think, who's clutching the left arm there, I believe. So Vendelbo out. And is in some discomfort as the racing continues. So Jeff Michiels now is in second position and is going side by side with Mike van Voost down the start-finish line. Here comes Lucas Schoenmakers. Michiels gets the lead. Schoenmakers gets past Van Voost. And Danny Van Dijk's gone in there as well. Van Voost now down into... He's down into sixth position. He's been passed by several drivers, including Danny Van Dijk and also Kai Rielertz. There's been a change for second, which is being swapped over yet again. But at the moment, looks like Jeff Michiels is leading with Lucas Schoenmakers battling away. I think Matthew Higgins is absolutely having a barnstormer here. So I think he's now up into second. Van Dijk is now up into third position. Schoenmakers being swallowed up a bit by the rest of the field. Ginchard's up into the top 10 now. Really good job there by the Brits. It is Higgins with Van Dijk in third. Van Voost, Schoenmakers, Rielertz. Drake Jansen now up there as well. As Schoenmakers pulls alongside Kai Rielertz. It's got to be very clean here going through into turn 2. Yellow flags are being waved. So no overtaking. So Schoenmakers will have to give that place back, as will any driver trying to overtake behind. So yellow flag at the first marshal post after the start-finish line has been retracted. So Schoenmakers has now got past, I think, has he got past Kai Rielertz? But at the moment it's Jeff Michiels with Matthew Higgins, who's only, well, I know who his dad is. I'm not going to reveal that one, but he's definitely here in person. Matthew Higgins, who celebrates his birthday today, as Ginchard has got past, I think, is that Schoenmakers? Ginchard's up into, what is it now? Seventh, that looks to be seventh position. So at the moment, it's Jeff Michiels ahead of Matthew Higgins, who is closing and closing fast. The gap now is nearly 3.5 tenths of a second. Van Dijk's third, Van Voost, Rielertz, Tom Adams, Dan Ginchard, Lucas Schoenmakers. That's Drake Jansen and Rasmus Andersen that completes the top 10. But Matthew Higgins is the driver on the move and is closing. That gap is going to be at least 3 kart lengths. Maybe not even that if he goes late into the braking zone, which he does. Michiels is going to have to watch the back bumper right now because they come through turn 8. So Schoenmakers, well, there we go. Michiels is being swamped over by Matthew Higgins from the United Kingdom in his second year of karting and has gone to Europe and is absolutely pulling a blinder. He's gone for the lead, and has he got it? Has he got past Michiels? He forces the driver wide, but was very fair with that and takes the lead magnanimously there through the final corner. What a display there from Matthew Higgins from the UK, but Michiels is going to try and mount an offensive. Van Dijk still in third, has got Van Voost trying to close him down. Kai Rielertz a bit lonely in fifth. Dan Ginchard now is up into 8th position, ahead of Drake Jansen. Christian de Klein now hits the top 10. So Matthew Higgins from the UK had a gap of around 2 tenths between himself and Jeff Michiels. Now we're going to see if he can be the, you know, drivers are good at doing the chasing, but when they're the ones being chased, it's a whole different matter altogether. So Matthew Higgins leads into turn 10 ahead of Jeff Michiels. Michiels a little bit tighter on that apex through turn 10. Lead is now coming through towards turn 12. Van Dijk and Van Voost quite close together. Schoenmakers being pressured by both Dan Ginchard and also Drake Jansen from the Netherlands. As Michiels closes on Higgins going into turn 2, as Van Voost and Van Dijk are trading places now. So Van Voost up into third, past his countryman in the 256. Kai Rielertz still keeping calm and composed. Rounding out the top 5. As we've had one's gone very, very wide indeed. So Gianni Andresani and Rasmus Vendelbo were the two involved in that first lap skirmish, and they've both retired, so 24 still circulating, whereas one has gone very, very wide. Looked to be a CRG liveried kart. So the lead is still pretty much equidistant between both Matt Higgins and Jeff Michiels. So Higgins showing a good turn of pace. And Van Vugt is the one that's flying at the minute. The Flying Dutchman has done the fastest lap of this race, 56.795. He's pulling Danny Van Dijk along with him. And the gap between Jeff Machiels and Mike Van Vugt is now 0.991 of a second. So Lucas Schoenmaker's, well, Christian de Klein has dropped all the way down to 24th. Having made his way up into the top 10. So he might have been the one that was pushed wide off of turns 4 and 5. So Matthew Higgins still leads from Jeff Machiels. Mike Van Vugt and Danny Van Dijk might be working in tandem. Kai Rielets gets his head down, currently in 5th position as he goes through his turn number 10. So 26 seconds on the clock remaining. Higgins comes through the final corner. Jeff Machiels is about 2 to 3 kart lengths behind. So when the timer ticks down, and it will close very, very shortly, we will be on the penultimate lap of this race. Higgins has around about a lap and 2/3 to get through to keep Jeff Machiels at bay, as it's 3 wide a bit further down the order. With the, looks like the 214 of Maurice Schuring getting involved, with Zen Rudenberg and maybe Callum Voss in there. Now, Van Vugt has closed. Van Vugt has closed onto the, towards Jeff Machiels for 2nd position. And is he sensing that he thinks he might have enough time to get past both Jeff Machiels and Matthew Higgins? But if the pair have something to say about it, what's Danny Van Dijk going to do? He might be just sitting there and waiting to see what happens as they come round turn 12 for the penultimate time. Final lap board shown to Matthew Higgins, who's still ahead of Jeff Machiels. Van Vugt closes the gap and closes it to within 2/10. As Machiels gives Higgins a little bump from behind. Higgins gets unsettled. 2 wheels off the Van Vugt is just trying to muscle his way through past Machiels. As does Van Dijk, nearly goes up the inside of Machiels, who's now is in 3rd position, as Van Vugt went up the inside to take 2nd. But Matthew Higgins has not been unsettled by that tap from Jeff Machiels. He's kept on to the lead, but he's got Mike Van Vugt, the defending champion, behind him now, coming through the exit of turn 8. They go into turn 9 for the final time. Danny Van Dijk, in the meantime, up into 3rd, past Jeff Machiels. Meanwhile, Kai Rielets is on the back of this 5-kart train. But what's going to happen now? They come through turn 11. Higgins still leads from Van Vugt, as it's going to be a great run to the finish. Higgins goes tight in on turn 12 to close off the line from Mike Van Vugt. Van Vugt will try and close, but Higgins takes the win emphatically there. But we've also had a couple of penalties issued. 3-second penalties for 2:49 of Samuel Stendis and the 2:35 of Callum Voisin. But what a win for Matthew Higgins from the UK in only his 2nd year in karting. And he's to get one up on Mike Van Vugt, especially when that youngster behind you is charging, is no mean feat. So, winning the final qualification heat in Groups C and A, it is Matthew Higgins from the United Kingdom, winning by a mere 1/10 of a second ahead of Mike Van Vugt. Danny Van Dijk takes 3rd ahead of Jeff Machiels. Kai Rielets goes back up into another top 10 finish, another top 5 finish in fact, 3rd in his first heat, 5th in the 2nd, ahead of Tom Adams. Drek Jansen, Dan Zopfi up into 8th at the end of it, ahead of Artem Mikhailov, and Rasmus Andersson rounding out the top 10. Completing the running order, Jaroslav Zimashka finished in 11th ahead of Maurice Schuring. Daniel Ginchard in 13th, Lucas Schoenmakers in 14th ahead of Jano Zoffi,